Good morning. Welcome to Arlington Street Church, gathered in love and service for justice and peace. Welcome to the soul of Sunday. We are Unitarian Universalists. Ours is a historic faith with a progressive theology. We affirm the worth and dignity of every being, and that we are all deeply interconnected. We are bound to one another, not by creed, but by covenant. And we are called to answer the call of love with open minds, open hearts, and open hands. Whoever you are, those of all nations, all creeds, all colors, all kinds of love, you are welcome here.
We believe. Sorry. We believe in acceptance of one another. Acceptance of one another. Acceptance and encouragement of spiritual growth. Encouragement of spiritual growth.
As we gather here at Arlington Street Church, we acknowledge we are on the homeland of the Massachusetts. By making this land acknowledgement, we recognize, honor, and affirm the sovereignty of all First Nations peoples. Dear ones, as always, it's so good to be together. Happy Thanksgiving. It's a joy to see you in your Hollywood squares and in the pews this morning. Thank you, tech team. We couldn't do it without you. Thank you, Great Doors team here in the sanctuary, for ensuring that we can gather safely in person. And thank you to Director of Music Mark David Buckles and all our musicians today. Welcome to our vocal quartet, Hannah, Karina, Daniel, and Andrew. And to our string quartet, Mona, Julie, John, and Valerie. We are thrilled you're here with us to celebrate Thanksgiving Sunday. Our singers are following a COVID-19 testing protocol so they can sing unmasked. We've closed the first 4 pews in the front to keep everyone safe. A reminder that those in the sanctuary should be physically distancing from those who are not in your family or pod. And when your pew is full, please close your pew door so people who arrive after you know that it's full, even if you're the only one sitting there. Folks in the Zoom room, we're counting on you to sing your hearts out. Those in the sanctuary, please join me in humming along in our masks. And finally, for those who are new to Arlington Street, a very special welcome to you. Please take a moment to fill out a connection card. The link is in the chat. It includes the option to request the link to a recording of today's sermon. And since Reverend Beth and I can't greet all of you in person after the service, we'd love to follow up with a virtual hello. Whether you've been coming here for years or today is your first time at Arlington Street, welcome home.
Good morning. If you haven't already downloaded today's order of service, it's available in the chat and on the homepage at ascboston.org. For our device-free guests here in the sanctuary, there are also printed copies at the Great Doors. All of the hymn lyrics are included in the order of service and will also be posted in the chat. There is also a link to Sermon Bingo on the homepage. Feel free to play along while Reverend Kim preaches. It's time now for our Thanksgiving greetings. Zoomers and those here in the sanctuary with a device handy, please say hello in the chat. Zoomers are here today all the way from Connecticut, Florida, Maine, New Hampshire, Pennsylvania, Tennessee, Michigan, and New York. I know there are even more states represented, so please let us know where you're Zooming from in the chat. Friends in the sanctuary, let's maintain physical distance as we smize, that's smile with our eyes, and wave at one another. And now, Rich is going to turn the camera on the incarnate congregation so we can wave and smize at our friends in the Zoom room. And you can all wave and smile back. Hello, friends. Let's engage that Arlington Street spirit of welcome that transcends physical distance as we greet one another heart to heart. And now, let's rise in body and spirit and join in singing and humming together. Come, ye thankful people.
all made holy, loved and true, with thanksgiving, I'll be a living sanctuary for you.
It is now time for our treasured ritual of sharing community candles of sorrow and joy. These candles were submitted on our website by the Friday evening deadline. If you didn't submit your candle and have a joy or a sorrow to share this morning, please wait until the third candle is lit, the silent candle, and then type your joy or sorrow into the chat. In addition to sharing our sorrows and joys this morning, let's reach out to one another in the week ahead, staying connected. May these times remind us of how very precious this beloved community is. We need one another. Whether together or apart, may we stay very close. And now, in the spirit of invocation, let's join in singing and humming Sanctuary. The words are printed in your order of service and in the chat.
Some of us come today with heavy hearts. We open our hearts to you.
From Keith Perrin, this is a candle of sorrow for our country about the miscarriage of justice that happened with the acquittal of the murderer in Wisconsin. I am so dismayed. I hope people can redirect their anger, protesting peacefully, and help to change the system so this doesn't happen anymore. A candle of sorrow from the Arlington Street Church community. African-American civil rights activist Ella Baker said, "Until the killing of Black men, Black mothers' sons, becomes as important to the rest of the country as the killing of a white mother's son, we who believe in freedom cannot rest." Our faith unequivocally joins with all who declare that Black lives matter. In weeks such as this one, it's particularly devastating to see just how far the aspirations of our faith and the realities of our society are from one another. May we recommit our hearts and our hands to building a world of justice and peace. A mixed candle from Dan Brotman for Diane McAuliffe and her family recovering from their difficult bout with COVID-19. Diane's friendly and assuring nature rightfully belongs to the American Red Cross here in my hometown of Melrose. Get well soon, Diane. We need our quiet heroes back. A Candle of Concern from Patrice Keegan. Some of you have heard stories about my friend John, a retired teacher who operates a massive weekly soup kitchen out of his pickup truck for homeless neighbors. This week, John's 7-year-old grandson started chemo for kidney cancer. Please send Spencer, John, and their family good energy and light. Even clear across the country in Oregon, I know they'll feel it. From Kevin Tyrell. This is a candle of sorrow and concern for my brother Steve, who was recently diagnosed with a rare form of non-Hodgkin lymphoma. He started chemotherapy this week and seems to be in good spirits despite the circumstances. Please keep Steve and his wife Sue in your thoughts and prayers that the chemo is an effective treatment. And finally, a candle of concern for the refugees in Belarus.
Open my heart to be a sanctuary. Of making love and truth. With thanksgiving, I'll be a living sanctuary for you.
And some of us come today in joy. We share your joy.
A candle of gratitude from Philip Roberts for last weekend's Climate Crisis Workshop in the ASC Zoom room titled The Work That Reconnects. A special thank you to the workshop leader, Ann Goodwin, and a very special thank you to Judy Chambliss and Laura Patterson, and all who helped to bring this important work to Arlington Street. The wheel of the great turning is here. A candle of joy from Tom Anderson. The day before Thanksgiving will be my mom's halfway mark of radiation treatment for a glioma brain tumor. Her spirits are high and her determination is admirable. For that, I am grateful. Bruce and I are flying down to Georgia to spend Thanksgiving with Mom, her wonderful husband, my sister, and our niece. I can't wait to hear Mom critique my cooking while at the same time saying that I'm a much better cook than my sister. Isn't family just the best? Bruce and I will have the awesome opportunity of accompanying Mom to her treatment on Friday, and then if the stars align, we'll spend Friday afternoon decorating Mom's Christmas tree before we fly back to Boston on Saturday. Happy Thanksgiving to my ASC peeps. This year, I am especially thankful for the community that all of you provide. Our final candle is from Sharon and Roan. A candle of joy for our amazing daughter, Alden, who made the honor roll this semester. It's been a tough year, but the future looks bright. Alden, we all love you and are so proud of you. Congratulations.
Open
all the joys we hold in our hearts, we light a silent candle to remember and to rejoice. May the peace of this sanctuary enter into our hearts as we share a quiet moment together, breathing our prayers for ourselves, for one another, for our country, and for the world. Amen.
Let's join now in saying together the affirmation and covenant of this beloved spiritual community. The words are printed in the order of service and in the chat. Love is the spirit of this congregation, and service is our gift. This is our great covenant, to dwell together in peace, to speak our truths in love, and to help one another.
El amor es el espíritu de nuestra congregación y el servicio es nuestro regalo. Esto es a lo que nos comprometemos, convivir en paz, hablar nuestras verdades con amor y ayudarnos los unos a los otros.
Good morning. I'm Mark David Buckles, the Director of Music. Our next hymn is We Give Thanks, and it is a call and response hymn. Andrew is going to be the call. If you know it, you feel free to sing along, and if you want to sing the response, then you just echo what he sings, and the other section leaders will sing that back. As usual, feel free to add some harmony and be in the spirit with us. So glad to be singing and making music with you today.
I am at a conference at the Kennedy School of Government in a room filled with women from post-conflict countries all over the world. 20 Hutu and Tutsi women are taking turns telling their stories of the Rwandan genocide. In roughly 100 days between April and July of 1994, more than 500,000 Tutsis were murdered. Estimates of the total death toll are as high as 1.1 million. I am hardly breathing. Most of us are sitting in shocked silence. Some are openly weeping. Just when it is all truly unbearable, one of the Rwandan women calls for a dance. A dance? I am frozen in my chair as they rise as one, move away from the conference table and begin to sing and sway together, a call and response song in Kinyarwanda, accompanied by beautiful undulating movements. Up, up, they insist, and I rise, my heart so heavy. They smile approvingly. We have lived to tell you this story, they say. We have lived to befriend one another. We will die at peace. In fact, this wasn't a one-time event. Day after day, every time the storytelling was too much to bear, someone would call for a dance. Someone would remind us to be grateful. I don't know how they did it, how they buried the dead and adopted their neighbors' orphaned children and carried on. I cannot imagine. But I do know that remembering to give thanks for life changed the energy in that room and somehow made it possible to go on. At the close of the conference, my new friends gave me a beautiful piece of material which they showed me how to tie at my waist to create a long skirt. For dancing, they say. Remember us. Mrs. Klein, a teacher in a deteriorating school in a depressed neighborhood, asked each of her first grade students to draw a picture of something for which they were grateful. Even as she did it, the lesson felt hollow. She knew she would get turkeys or Thanksgiving tables laden with food because that's what's expected of them, but their lives were not bountiful. Mrs. Klein showed the class each of the pictures so they could talk about gratitude. A sad boy named Douglas, Mrs. Klein's little shadow when they were outside for recess, had drawn a hand. Let's guess whose hand this is, she said. The class was captivated. I think it's the hand of God that brings us food. It's a farmer's hand. They grow the turkeys. It's the pastor bringing turkey. Douglas remained silent. When the class was busy on their next project, Mrs. Klein bent over his desk to ask him whose hand was in his picture. It's yours, Mrs. Klein. And then she recalled the way she so casually took his hand sometimes, a 6-year-old bearing the weight of the world. Mine? She asked. Thank you, he said. Gratitude gets us in the habit of paying attention to the things going well in our lives, says Emiliana Simon Thomas, who co-teaches an online course about happiness to some 580,000 students at Berkeley. It's a recognition that these things are not always a result of your own prowess or genius, but of other people or a higher force that are sources of happiness in our lives. Gratitude helps us connect with others in a meaningful way. Gratitude reminds us that we are not alone. But we're not always so good at saying thank you. 3 scenarios. 1, someone compliments us, and we start downplaying whatever it is they liked, maybe it's humility, but deflecting praise, we fail to acknowledge the person's kindness. Say, thank you. 2, we're running late. It feels awful and it's disrespectful of the person who's waiting. Rather than stumbling through the door with, I'm sorry, I'm late, which makes everything about us, we can acknowledge the person who waited. Thank you for your patience. And 3, someone gives us difficult feedback or unsolicited advice. Whether or not it's warranted, maybe it's terrific, but maybe it's just mean-spirited, we can say simply, thank you. When we thank someone for criticizing us, it immediately neutralizes the power of their position. We've stopped it from going anywhere, and we can use the information to improve or to steer clear of them. Thank you. Gratitude is a spiritual practice. It's a discipline. Gratitude is a superpower. Born in 106 BCE, Roman statesman and philosopher Cicero called gratitude the greatest of the virtues, and more than that, the parent of all other virtues. Science has begun to catch up with Cicero. According to the National Alliance on Mental Illness, those who subscribe to gratitude are healthier and happier, more generous and helpful. Studies link gratitude with increased motivation, energy, and satisfaction. Grateful people have stronger feelings of purpose, meaning, and connectedness. They have higher self-esteem and better relationships. And they sleep better. So if you're not sure whether or not saying thank you is appropriate, let that go. It is always appropriate. Thank you. What's on your gratitude list? I typed gratitude list into Google and was rewarded with 274 million responses. I loved scrolling through them. I'll share just a few in a moment. What's clear is that your heart can be broken. You can be consumed with anxiety or sunk by depression. But there are always, always things for which to be grateful. The stress might not budge, but when we can take a few deep breaths and remember that we are also grateful, gratitude gives us the upside perspective and helps us rebalance. Beyond the usual suspects of friends, family, and good health, here are just a few items for our gratitude lists. Skewing somewhat to a New England autumn, friends in Florida and other warm places, please bear with us, and we'd love to hear yours. In no particular order, we are grateful for laughing, leaves, sunshine, cozy evenings, sweaters, the first snow, electricity and plumbing, smiles from strangers, hot drinks, conversations, books, naps, lip balm, stars, Zoom, fresh air, freedom of speech, old photos, Sunday mornings. After I received my booster last week, someone asked me if I were having a reaction, and the answer was yes, I was having a gratitude reaction. The COVID vaccines also belong on our list. Vaccines and a late entry, goosebumps. Melanie Knight was the founding visionary and director of an aquarium in Newfoundland, and now runs an organization that supports coastal communities around the world to open marine education centers. This is her story. I'm 16, and I'm sitting on a plane heading from Mexico back home to Canada. My mother, sister, and I got bumped up to first class. And I'm sitting next to an older gentleman who's reading the New York Times. We're quiet at first, but when the hot towels come, I start giggling. What am I supposed to do with this? He gives me the gentlest nudge and says, just wipe your hands with it. I thank him, and that breaks the ice. We talk for the entire flight. He tells me he's a Wall Street investment banker and lives in Connecticut. I tell him I'm a high school student from Elmira, Ontario. He tells me about his time in the war and that he went to Yale, and about his grandchildren. He tells me how much he loves marching bands strangely. We couldn't stop talking. We had an amazing connection. So at the end of the flight, I asked if I could get his email because I wanted to continue our conversation. He's so cool. I don't have email, says I'm an old school gent, but here, let me give you my address and phone number. And he writes it down on the back of an American Airlines napkin. His name is Tom Fitzgerald. He writes the T in his name with a little triangle hat on top. I have no idea why, but it's distinctive. So we become pen pals. We actually write each other regularly, and sometimes we call. Once he sent me a package of VHS tape of a marching band concert. And once, out of the blue, he called to offer to contribute to my college fund. Tom, thank you so much for this generous offer, but we're okay. I mean, I have a big family, but we're fine. I hope I didn't give you the wrong impression. That's why I wanted to stay in touch. No, Melanie, not at all. I really believe in you, and I really enjoyed my university experience. I want to make sure you get to enjoy yours. So I talk with my mom about it. I'm like, should we accept this money? And it seems like Tom really wants to be part of my education, so I call him back and I say, yes, that would be amazing. His secretary sends us a check. As soon as I get my acceptance letter to Memorial University of Newfoundland, I send him a copy of it along with a huge thank you. Then I pack up everything and move away. And actually, I thought I had packed everything, but I did not pack the American Airlines napkin. When I realize it's missing, I call my mom. Unfortunately, she has also been packing up. She had upped and moved everything as far west as she possibly could to the ocean on the west coast of Vancouver Island. She didn't keep anything that was non-essential to her, so she didn't have any of the letters Tom had sent me, and no, she didn't have the napkin. The napkin was a keepsake. I thought I'd always have it, and now I haven't written down Tom's information anywhere else. Just thinking about it again stresses me out. So fine, I Google him. The man doesn't have an email, but he must be online somewhere. It turns out there are hundreds and hundreds of Tom Fitzgeralds in Connecticut. I don't recognize a single one. In my first year bio class, I think about him and like, oh, how could I have been so stupid? In my year 2 genetics lab, I think about him, pit in my stomach. In my year 3 ichthyology class, he comes to mind again, and I curse myself. Every once in a while, throughout my university career, I Google him again. I wonder, how am I ever going to find him? I think of him and I tell people our story. In the meantime, what I haven't said is that in exchange for the contribution to my education, he asked for an invitation to my graduation. And my graduation is approaching. I go online one last time. I've got to try to find this guy. I search and search. I can't find him. My graduation comes and goes without Tom Fitzgerald there. Life goes on. I move to British Columbia and get a job at the Vancouver Aquarium. I get married and we decide to move back to Newfoundland, and I have this idea of starting a catch and release aquarium, the Petty Harbor Mini Aquarium. It launches, it's in good hands, and we move back to Vancouver. 4 years go by, and Petty Harbor is celebrating its 5-year anniversary. I'm going back for the party, and I think, this is it. This is my chance. I might even have missed it. He might not even still be alive. But if he is, I have to try to find Tom Fitzgerald, invite him to the anniversary because I did something with the education he gave me. At least that's something. So instead of Googling Tom Fitzgerald, I Google private investigator, Connecticut. There are 3 of them. All 3 claim they can find your cheating spouse, but only one says they can find a long-lost friend. So I call and explain my strange request, and I tell him everything I know about Tom, even the part about marching bands. Does that help? I don't know. The guy asked me if I have a sample of his handwriting. I don't, but I remember the way he wrote his T with the little hat on top. He tells me to send him a picture of that, and he'll see what he can do. 2 weeks pass. He calls me back. He found him. Oh my goodness, how did you find him? Well, I had to do some digging. I called a couple people who weren't your Tom, and now their wives are mad at them because they're not sure why someone is asking if they ever gave money to a high school-age girl. But I found him, I'm sure of it. We sent your handwriting sample to his secretary, and she absolutely said he's your man. Oh, and he's gonna call you in 10 minutes. I'm thinking, he found him. And then I'm thinking, I graduated without him. Is he mad at me? Is he totally freaked out that I hired a private eye to find him? The phone rings. Hi, Tom, it's Melanie Knight. I know. Hello, Melanie. How nice to speak with you again. I explain everything. I apologize over and over. And he says, Mel, I don't even remember giving you money. I don't remember asking you to invite me to your graduation. It's no big deal. And Melanie says, it was a big deal. Tom, you made a huge impact in my life, and I've been thinking about you for years. Please know that it was really important to me, and I thank you again so much for it. And I'm so sorry I can't invite you to my university graduation, but I'd love to invite you to come to the 5-year anniversary of this organization I started because of my degree, because of how you supported me in getting my education. He was quiet for a beat. Well, let me check my calendar. Let's see, June. Another silence. Oh, to hell with it, he says, I'll be there. And so, on October 17th, 2017, Tom Fitzgerald is standing in the Petty Harbor Mini Aquarium with a party hat on and a starfish in his hand. He is 85 years old. He looks to his left, and there is a 5-year-old girl who is also experiencing a starfish for the very first time in her life. And they totally smile at each other and have this adorable bonding moment. This is the return on investment I wanted to give him. He finally got it. While he was there, he also had a few other firsts. We got to show him his first iceberg. He saw his first whale. He even met a fisherman with a peg leg. It was wonderful. Tom and I now talk regularly, and we have plans to see each other in New York in the spring. And I can tell you now, I have Tom's number and address written down in many different places. Beloved spiritual companions, gratitude is a superpower. If there's an old thank you for a hand that reached out, let's find a way to say it or pay it forward. Just maybe there's a starfish involved. Let's make our lists and not forget goosebumps. May we dance and so give thanks for life. Happy Thanksgiving. Amen.
Friends, our generosity continues to be astounding. Thank you for your commitment to our staff, our building, and to our beloved spiritual community. I'll be leaving for Pennsylvania tomorrow to join my sister and her family and our parents for the holiday. While there are still risks inherent in pandemic travel, I'm keenly aware that last year I was FaceTiming with my young nieces. None of the ways we'll be together this week was possible a year ago. Even in the midst of the terrible loss and grief wrought by the pandemic, there are gifts. We never realize how much we take for granted until it's taken from us. I feel so grateful to be able to be with my family again. This year, it's especially easy to feel a true Thanksgiving. I wish the same for each of you. A joyful, grateful Thanksgiving. Friends, Arlington Street is entirely self-sustaining. Please take a moment now to join me in giving to our beloved spiritual community by filling our virtual collection plate. You can text the word GIVE, G-I-V-E, to 617-300-0509. Scan the QR code in the order of service, visit our homepage at ascboston.org and click on the yellow Donate Now button, or write a check and mail it to the church or give it to Reverend Kim or to me. Thank you for your generosity.
Well, I was born with all I needed, came to this world complete and whole. Though I would journey along just to see it, that slow 3 letters of my soul, like the sea in late November, my steady waves have seen the storm. But further down I just might remember that slow, peaceful way back home. So when the years are all behind me and my time has passed me by, only thankfulness will find me. I'll be grateful by and by. I've had dreams and I've had visions. Some came true by faith or chance. I've known the sweetness of good fortune, and I've seen it all slip right through my hands. So when the years are all behind me and my time has passed me by, only thankfulness will find me. I'll be grateful by and by. Felt the fire of my fury. You've known my demons and my doubts, but you see through my fear and worry, like the sun behind the clouds. So when the years are all behind me and my time has passed me by, only thankfulness will find me. I'll be grateful by and by. So when the years are all behind me and my time has passed me by, only thankfulness will find me. I'll be grateful by and by. I'll be grateful by and by.
For those of you here in person, immediately following the service, Kevin Terrell, our lead elf, also known as Elf Jefe, is leading the annual Bringing of the Greens. There's gorgeous wreaths and swag created by our beloved Robert Hawley. The hooks are all in place. It's not hard, but many hands do make light work. It would be wonderful if I could get some hands right now of some people who might be willing to stay just for a little while after the service to help out. Oh, great. Got one over here. Oh, wonderful. You getting this, El Jefe? All right, one more wave. Thank you so much, everybody. If you want to meet by the great doors after the service, we will all be very grateful. And we are excited to see the transformation of the sanctuary for next Sunday, which is the first Sunday in Advent. And in the Arlington Street Zoom room, there are weekly gatherings for loving kindness meditation, poetry, a tea party, yoga, and writing. In addition, this week on Tuesday evening, Reverend Kim hosts the Buddha's Belly Book Group and the Arlington Street Meditation Center. All of the information about these gatherings is at ascboston.org. To attend any of them, you don't have to be a member. You don't have to turn on your video or talk if you don't want to, and they're free. All are always welcome. Each Sunday, we share our collection plate with a partner in our mission of love, service, justice, and peace. Today, our gifts are being shared with Only a Child, which will support our own George Ledger's Children's Home in Guatemala. You can read all about it in the order of service. Please text the amount you want to give and the word SHARE, S-H-A-R-E, to 617-300-0509. Detailed instructions are in the chat. Thank you for your generosity. Following the service, everyone is welcome to join in virtual coffee hour. People in the sanctuary who are already in the Zoom room will just need to put on headphones. Let's be at least 10 feet apart to avoid interference. If you'd like to participate, please answer yes to an invitation that will appear on your screen, inviting you to join a breakout room conversation. Afterwards, Reverend Kim and I will be outside in front of the church. Please come say hello after virtual coffee hour. Thank you to all who joined in today's service and to all of those who made it possible. Remember, we're in this together. Happy Thanksgiving. I love you. And now, let's rise in body and spirit and join in singing and humming together the great Thanksgiving hymn, We Sing Now Together.
Before our benediction, I invite you in the sanctuary to please raise your hands, palms out. And those of you in the Zoom room to please raise your hands and touch the sides of your square. Let's send loving kindness to the people on your left and on your right. Loving kindness to the people on either side of them. Send out loving kindness into this beloved spiritual community and feel it coming back to you. Love is the spirit of this congregation. And now for our benediction, I invite you to put your hands over your heart in namaste. I bow to the divine in you. These words are from American singer and songwriter Bob Franke. It's so easy to dream of the days gone by. It's a hard thing to think of the times to come. But the grace to accept every moment as a gift is a gift that is given to some. What can you do with your days but work and hope? Let your dreams bind your work to your play. What can you do with each moment of your lives but love till you've loved it away? Let us keep this faith, beloveds, and pass it on. The service begins when the service ends. Bless your hearts. Happy Thanksgiving. I love you. Amen.
Please visit ascboston.org for more information about this historic Unitarian Universalist congregation. Arlington Street Church, gathered in love and service for justice and peace.